All right, guys, we are live again. Um, just gonna wait just a minute or two just to give people the opportunity to join us on the live. Obviously, today's subject, it was posted a little bit earlier, and I believe some of you guys may have gotten some emails about it. It is about communication, how to resolve conflict. And I know this is one of the topics that we get all the time. This is something that I deal with quite frequently when it comes to my couples one-on-one sessions, individual sessions, even individuals who are not in relationships and just really wanting to understand how to effectively communicate in general. So again, just going to give it a couple of minutes. One thing that I do want to recommend is staying until the very end of the live because I'm going to be giving away a little special something, and you're going to want to stick around for that. Um, Again, like I said, I will present that towards the end of the live. This live is probably gonna be about 15 or 20 minutes, guys. It won't be super long, but I did want to cover obviously four just main um, bullet points when it comes to obviously conflict resolution. Um, that being said, let's just get right into it. All right. So one of the major things that is incredibly important when it comes to resolving conflict, particularly when it comes to a relationship with your spouse, with anybody that you're really effectively trying to discuss and really share your feelings and your opinions in the way that you think about something, is understanding that number one, feelings are subjective. They're subjective. They're not objective. So oftentimes what ends up happening, and people make this mistake, is that you experience the argument, you experience it from your perspective, right? And you're trying to prove a point, you're trying to let your partner know, you're trying to let the person that you're having a discussion with how you are feeling about the situation. But at the end of the day, you don't necessarily always feel the same way about the topic itself or the subject of the argument. And being able to approach it a little bit more objectively will actually help you to navigate that. So the question usually becomes is how do you do that? How are you able to view it subjectively or objectively as opposed to subjectively? And the major part about that is really just kind of stepping outside of yourself, having a little bit of empathy for the individual, and thinking to yourself, how would I want my partner to listen to me right now? How would I want them to respond to me right now? Because to be honest with you, sometimes it's really just about the fact that somebody may be overly emotional, they may be vulnerable about something, they may be upset about something, and they just want somebody to listen to them. And if you've ever been in that situation with your partner where you just want them to hear you out, you just want to be heard, you want to be supported in that moment, you don't necessarily need a solution or an answer, you just want to feel emotionally supported, then it's really just about actively listening, right? But again, at the end of the day, it's about coming to an understanding and a truce and saying, okay, you know what? We may not see eye to eye in this situation, so let's just agree to disagree, and squash the conversation. Now, one of the major things that people ask when I say those types of things, or when I say that or recommend that, is, well, aren't you just kind of leaving an issue unresolved? And it really just depends on the severity of the issue, right? I always tell my clients, I always tell you, pick and choose your battles. Is it really that important? Is this something that is really affecting you emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically in a negative way? And if it is not, then the recommendation is to really just kind of take a step back and say, you know what, let's call a truce, because you're just going to go around in circles, right? And it's the merry go round where you end up blaming that person, they end up blaming you, and you just go into the blame game. And it's never productive. It's never effective. It never really gets you anywhere. So again, the first thing in being able to resolve conflict is understanding that emotions are subjective. The second thing is really trying to get to the root of the issue, right? What is at the root? What is the problem? And oftentimes we get so stuck on the external part of it, right? So I can give you a perfect example. Let's say you are coming home from work and you feel like you are the person who is constantly cleaning up the house, cooking, doing all these types of things. You come home, there's dirty dishes in the sink, and you get upset. You direct it at your partner and you say, I really wish you could have cleaned up the dishes. I've been at work all day. What have you been doing? And it kind of becomes this cat and mouse, this fight, right? And It's not really about the dishes being in the sink, right? Yes, that is annoying. Yes, that is a trigger. That is something that is going to make you feel like you're not being supported. But that is actually at the root of the issue. It's the feeling of lack of support, the feeling of lack of emotional support. So when you walk into the house, and again, this is just an example, something that I hear quite often in my one on one coaching sessions. So when you walk into the house and you see something like that and you get triggered, ask yourself why. What is really bothering me? Is it the actual physical dishes in the sink, or is it something below that? Because oftentimes what I've found working with couples and individuals when it comes to conflict resolution is that you can actually subcategorize the list of all the issues that you have into primary categories, right? So if you're upset about the dishes, if you're upset about the fact that your partner isn't cooking more frequently and you wish that they would because you're working more often, that falls in the category of support, right? So whether it be emotional support, whether it be mental support, whatever the case may be, but you just don't feel supported. Another one may be the inability to really have good conversations. So if you're speaking to your partner about something and you feel like you're being dismissed, you feel like you're not being validated, or they may not be responding to you in the way that you would want them to respond to you in, then the root issue in that is communication. And why is communication such a big thing? Or why is lack of emotional support such a big thing? So being consciously aware of the reasons or the things that are really bothering you instead of just focusing on the external. Because if you just hover on the surface, it's going to be really difficult to solve anything because you're always just going to be stuck at that level instead of being able to go internal and really figure it out and root it out and move past the conflict itself. The third thing, and this is may seem a little odd to you, like, and I completely understand, right? Because it feels a little bit contrived. It doesn't necessarily feel um, natural. Is having a structured conversation, planning out some of those fights, those arguments. And look, I get it. You cannot predict an argument all the time. Arguments are inevitable in a relationship, and sometimes they just happen. You're annoyed, you're pissed, you're tired, and your partner's getting on your nerves, and you just freak out, or vice versa. I completely understand. But if you have come to recognize or realize that there are issues in the relationship that you're trying to work through, then structuring those conversations is really important because it puts you in more so of a controlled environment, right? So again, so let me give you an example, like a recommendation. If you are just feeling like you can't get anywhere with your partner, you're feeling like you can't resolve anything, what I usually recommend is having a structured conversation once a week to start, right? So let's say you pick a Friday. So on Monday, what you would do is, as individuals, you would separate. You would write a list of three things that you each individually feel is at the top of your priority list in regards to things that are bothering you, right? So maybe lack of emotional support, maybe not good communication, maybe there's very particular detailed issues, right? Like somebody is feels like they're the ones always cleaning up the house and the other partner is not doing that, right? I keep going back to that example because it's something that I hear all the time. um, but let's say, whatever it may be, you sit down, you write that down. On a Wednesday, you sit down with each other, you take 15 minutes and you go through the list together. And if there is anything that you guys have in common, right, there's similar things that are issues, and that immediately goes up to the top of the list, the priority, and that's what you tackle that week. Now, let's say, for example, you have three completely different lists. Then one person picks one subject one week, the next person picks the subject the following week, and then it's a rotating list. So say, for example, partner A, you choose to do partner A's list the first week, right? So you pick the first thing on that list, so number one of three. You tackle that, you resolve it, you move on. That partner chooses another topic so that they constantly have a list of three, and then you switch to the next partner the following week and they eliminate their number one thing and then they add something else to their list. So again, there's always running three, right? During the conversation, it is incredibly important to make sure that it is structured, right? So it should only be about an hour, because anything beyond an hour is usually just very emotionally exhausting. And it's difficult for people to kind of retain focus and attention during those conversations, especially if they are emotionally heavy, right? You only have so much emotional bandwidth. So that keeps you focused, and that also allows either partner to not feel dismissed or like they're not being validated throughout that conversation. The first 15 minutes should be partner A, next 15 minutes, partner B, and like that for an hour, right? There should also be a safe word, kind of like a safety net safeguard. I don't know if you guys remember this as kids in middle school, but there was always like the safe zone. It's something similar to that. So you guys can choose whatever that word is. You guys can choose whatever. It can be a physical thing. It can just be a safe word like panda. I don't know. Whatever it is, you guys can pick it yourselves. So if in that conversation things start to derail, things get heated, you can utilize the safe word. And when you utilize a safe word, it gives you the ability to walk away from the conversation with both people understanding that it's not you being dismissive, it's not you being rude, it's not you being mean, it's just the best thing for the conversation in that moment. And when you walk away, you try to release some of that energy, right? So don't just walk away, sit down and ruminate on what just happened, right? That will actually just make you more upset and more frustrated. Try to do something physical. Push-ups, a mini jog, walking around the house, whatever, just to get the energy out. But make sure that when you are doing that, you are investing time and really thinking about and reflecting why you got upset or why your partner got upset or why you got to a place where you actually had to use the safe word. And when you come back to the conversation, which I always say take about a 15 or 20-minute break, ask your partner if they are ready to have the conversation, right? So it shouldn't just be you coming in and saying, all right, let's go again. Like it should be a team effort here. And if your partner is not ready to have the conversation quite yet, that is okay. If you have to, you pick up the conversation the next day. But one of the most important things is making sure that you are finishing the conversation. You don't walk away and not come back to it because, again, that just adds to the unresolved issues and it just doesn't help or fix anything. And usually, that's the only time that I recommend having one of those conversations twice a week, is if for the first conversation you are not able to resolve the issue, you try to resolve it the following day. If the following day you're not able to resolve it, then my recommendation is to come to a compromise and say, you know what, we're going to squash this for the time being and really just kind of have moments of self reflection and try to figure out the reasons for why we actually are truly upset and then come back to the conversation. It takes practice. It's not something that comes naturally to people often. We aren't necessarily taught how to have an argument or communicate effectively with our partner in school. So it's something that we learn along the way, right? It's something that we have to practice and something that we have to become comfortable with. So it's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel weird, but I promise you, the more and the more you do it, you'll find a groove and a rhythm, and it becomes easier to actually resolve issues instead of feeling like you're just adding more and more and more to the pile. And the last one, which is number four, and this is what I say to people all the time, is be conscious of your body language. Body language is huge, and people always seem to forget it. But over 70% of communication is body language, right? So if you're having a conversation with your partner and you're trying to resolve conflict, and you may be listening, you may not be saying anything rude, you may be, fully focused, but your arms are crossed, that in and of itself gives off an energy of you being closed off. And it actually may even trigger your partner. And I'm sure some of you have had this experience where you feel like you're super involved in the conversation. You feel like you're being attentive, and your partner is saying, I don't feel like you're really listening to me. I don't really feel like you're getting what I'm saying. And that can be infuriating because you feel like you really are. But a big part of that is your body language. So if you're huffing and puffing, or if you're crossing your arms, if you're rolling your eyes, or you're not really paying attention and not looking at your partner in the eyes and focusing on other things, all those types of things contribute to the inefficiency, right? And the lack of effectiveness of that communication. What's the point? A lot of the times it's about quality, not quantity conversation. So the quality of the conversation has to be there. And that takes some skill, right? That takes some layers. So active listening, truly understanding what your partner is trying to say and then reiterating it back to them so that they feel like you actually have an understanding of what they're saying. Body language, that's another really big one. Empathy, patience. There's many pieces to the puzzle, and it takes time to put it together. And sometimes it may feel impossible, but I promise you guys, it is not. You 100% can do it. It just takes some time. So for me, And what I've come to find, objectively speaking and subjectively speaking, is these are the four primary things that can actually get you on the road to start to resolve conflict quicker than if you just didn't have these things, right? So again, the first one is just acknowledging that feelings are subjective, right? The second one is trying to get to the root of the issue and being reflective, really understanding where your emotions are coming from and why you're feeling them. The third one is having a structured argument or conversation, which again, I know is going to feel foreign and awkward at first, but as you do it more and more, it becomes way easier. And the fourth one is just body language, being aware of your mannerisms and your face and your body and the way that you are coming to the table, really. And that really helps in regards to pushing the conversation forward and being productive and actually being able to resolve things. So that being said, we are coming closer to the end of the live, but I did want to, and like I said, I wanted to give you guys a little bit something if you stayed towards the end of the live. So I'm going to add this in here. If you actually, this is how we'll do it. So first 10 people, the first 10 people to email me at this email, boom, I just put it into the chat right there. I will do it one more time. So the first 10 people to email me on here, I will give you a free gift. And it's going to be on communication. So it's actually my new product that I just created on communication, and it is specifically geared towards conflict resolution, right? So understanding the fundamentals of communication and really understanding how to resolve conflict. So let's see, Rache, I hope I pronounced that right. Yes, this applies to couples. Absolutely 100% conflict resolution. Everything that I just talked about does apply to couples. So it applies to individuals, it applies to couples, anybody who's really just trying to resolve conflict. If you feel like you just need more help and you feel like you just need to have a discussion with somebody because your partner's just not getting it right, they're just not understanding you, and it can be incredibly frustrating. I get it. I'm going to attach a link for you guys. Give me one sec. And this will be for one-on-one coaching. So if you feel like you need one-on-one coaching, just make sure you are clicking on this link right here. Boom, I put it right down there. I'll do it one more time for you guys. And for any person who is not able to email me, the first 10 people, if it's past the first 10 people, I will add the course here for you guys so that you can also utilize this link to purchase the communication training. I promise you guys, this is something that you really are going to want and need if you are struggling with communication. I specifically did it for this reason. I did it for this reason. Paste. Okay. All right, I'm gonna add it one more time for you guys. Perfect, and bear with me. Obviously, these are live, so takes some seconds sometimes, takes some moments, trying to balance chatting and adding links and all that fun stuff. Perfect. All right, guys, so that is the end of this live. You guys saw it. I put it in there. If you got the first 10 people to email me, we'll get the free gift. It will be part of the communication training. So if you are wanting to get that communication training, if you are wanting to really start to learn how to resolve conflict, email me and I will send it to you. If you are not able to do it within the 10 minutes, I have attached the link on here anyway. So please make sure that you guys are utilizing that link. And that is really all I have for you guys today. So I will be on here again. I will be doing lives more frequently, obviously based on what people ask me, any subjects, any topics that people inquire. I usually, read the emails, the YouTube comments, all those types of things, and I pull the most frequently asked questions to have these lives, and this was one of them. So I wanted to have a live geared around that. Let's see, I'm actually going to take a look at some of these questions really quick. Nana, I'm so sorry to hear that. I know how difficult that can be, especially if you feel like there isn't a resolve to your issue, or you feel like things may have been left unsaid and you're just really trying to figure out how to navigate the silence. My recommendation would be, let me take a look. So, Danny, please, my boyfriend has been silent for 3 weeks after confronting him while cheating. So, in these types of circumstances, especially if it has to do with infidelity, it's really about taking a step back and focusing on yourself, right? What are the things that you need to do in this moment to heal, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to be emotionally capable to be able to maintain and sustain the relationship if it does have the ability to come around again, right? And infidelity is a big one. um, it's a sliding scale. For some people, infidelity may be emotional cheating. For some people, it may be physical cheating. So it really just kind of depends on the circumstance. And if he's ignoring you, then for me, I always tell people, actions over words. Take a look at what he's doing. If you were feeling the need for support in that moment, and you're feeling like, you're not necessarily at fault for this situation, then if he is ignoring you and not really giving you that validation, then it's something that is kind of a red flag. I would pay attention to that and really kind of turn inward and say, why is it that I am willing to continue to chase, even though I'm not getting what I need out of it, right? There are times in life where we have to do things that we don't necessarily like, right? And if you are wanting to make the relationship work with somebody, especially after infidelity, that may not be a good feeling. That may not be something that you may necessarily fully 100% want to do, but you love this person so much that you're willing to give them a chance. But their actions speak louder than their words. And they have to show you that they are willing to be consistent, right? And to win and earn your trust back. And if they aren't even giving you the time of day, then I would turn the focus back on yourself and say, you know what, this may not necessarily be worth it. And really just kind of take it from there. Caitlin, is there anything specific you want in the email? Nope, just an email. Just your email. You can say, "Hey, Coach Danny, was just on your live. I'm emailing you for the free gift," or you can literally just say hi. As long as you say hi, that's fine. Again, it's just the first 10 people to email me. For Heles, how are you doing? We haven't spoken in a while. Hope everything is well with you. I hope you are progressing. I hope you are achieving all the things that we had discussed. You wanted to achieve, particularly in the realm of self development. You're a tough girl, tough woman. So I believe in you, and I know that you 100% can achieve anything that you want to. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to try to keep this live to 20 minutes. Obviously, it's already at 22. So again, make sure you email me. First 10 people to email me will get that gift. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next live. Hope you're having an amazing day. See you guys later.